ReZero Podcast. I'm your host, Wolf.
I'm your host, Gold Snake.
I'm your host, Connor.
And today, we will be discussing and analysing chapters 9 and 223 of the ReZero web novel of Arc 10, oh my god, so many chapters.
Yes, we may have gone a little early last time and only covered most of Phase 1, so we made it up this time and given you a little bit extra in this podcast with some of Phase 1 and all of Phase 2, except for maybe a secret extra chapter that's getting added at the end of the light novel, if you two didn't know that was happening.
Wait, what?
That always happens, what can you say?
Exactly, that might be happening again.
Those filthy light novel readers having extra content and such.
How dare they get what they pay for?
Yeah, how dare they?
And to pay for all the extra magazine stories and all the...
Well, actually, for a bit of not so fun fact, Kadokawa has reported that the actual book sales for like all of their products were down 90% over like the last 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, people aren't buying like the light novels as much anymore.
Oh no. Do we need to sell more Rem figurines to keep this ReZero train going?
I think that's why it's fine, is that they will have more figurines to sell, but
it's interesting.
It is what it is.
It's interesting to see that before the economy was you would use the anime to promote the source material to then buy that, and then that's where you'd make your money. And now it seems like merchandise for the anime is where a lot of money is being made now instead of the source material.
It's always been the merchandise. 100%.
Anyways, we are here with Arc 10, and man, what a run of chapters.
Yes, my word, this was intense. It was exciting. We got that political thriller stuff we've always been craving and itching.
Yes.
And Capella is back in the main story 5 arcs later.
And I knew it! Ah! I can smell her.
Before the arc even started.
Yeah!
Even though it wasn't that hard to predict.
No.
The random blonde girl showing up at court that clearly is a member of the Lagunica house. Definitely never could have considered that to be Capella. Don't know who could have ever seen that coming.
Hoopst!
But regardless, that is the situation we're in. Capella is attacking the capital with a secret invasion. Like, literally. It's like the plot of Secret Invasion. Yeah,
they've taken over the legs of the government, and now it seems that they're trying to eliminate all of the competition.
And they're doing a very good job of it. They've locked out the entire capital, pretty much.
Well, no, they haven't locked it down. It's kind of the whole escape that we're getting here at the end.
I should say they've locked down the high command of the capital.
Mm-hmm. They've infiltrated the important positions.
If it weren't for the fact that a terrible Kara Jackson occurred, they might have not been able to slip through.
Mm-hmm.
But yes.
Which is all part of the conspiracy, clearly.
I mean, is that Kara... Sorry, just quick clarifying. Is that Carriage accident not the sandworm attack? Is that not what's going on?
Probably. I don't know. I didn't really pay much attention. Did it clarify that? I don't know.
I thought it was just like messing with the timing between the different parties, that like, because it was weird that there was no mention of the sandworms attacking the city at all from Subaru's side.
There was a mention of he felt a minor earthquake in the sewers at one point, right after that was mentioned. So that's what I thought that was being mentioned. I think this is supposed to be a separate event. I could be wrong on that completely, by the way, but I think that's.
But I didn't see a sandworm bursting through as a part of that. So I don't think so.
I feel like that would be a good reason people would not be leaving the city if there were known giant mob beasts outside of it.
It's the Witch Beast Kingdom. It's just another day.
Reinhardt took care of it. I'm sure.
That's probably the actual answer, Gold, is that Reinhardt went and took care of it real quick.
Just Reinhardt, Reinhardt time. It's not even Sourcelight time, it's just Reinhardt time.
Exactly. Where to even begin with this? I mean, we're covering a lot this time, so it might be best to partition ourselves a little bit and finish up Phase 1 with those few chapters, and then move on to everything we got from Phase 2.
That's probably a good
I agree
idea.
with that.
Yeah.
So basically, as soon as Ferris or Felix now, right, says that he is going to resign out of shame, he comes to Amelia's camp, and they offer him a position at the Amelia camp, which I thought was very sweet, and also I thought it would make sense, right? I was like, man, that would be cool and neat, right? But I just, obviously they all care about him and they're grateful for him and they would need his power. But also like it felt very bleak, the situation that Felix found himself in there, his mindset and how aimless he felt.
They make, like they pointed out in the chapters, but there's a lot of connections and similarities between Arc 3 Subaru and Felix in this instance, of deciding something for someone else and not taking their feelings into account for it, even though you're doing it for the sake of that person in a seemingly selfless manner.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I really liked about his explanation that I thought was a lot better, I mean, Subaru acknowledged the fact that while there is similarities to his position with compared to Krush and Felix's position in the moment, there's differences. Both of them definitely have a more noble intentions than he did back then. So yeah, it's interesting how things are coming around there. This is sort of him repaying the favor from back then, in a sense, but also sympathizing with them because the shoe's on the other foot for both of them. Felix does this because he comes to the understanding that between the vow of somebody who is dead versus the vow of somebody who's alive, which one would he rather cherish, So yeah. I thought that was a very beautiful. We also learned that Felix has been tending to his grave, and it's been pretty interesting to hear that he's the executor of his grave, whatever it's called.
It's honestly, I'm really glad that we redid EX1 recently. Check out that podcast if you haven't yet, because this first chapter that after we came back focuses so much on that relationship between Fourier and Felix, as well as Fourier and Krush, that lacking that this feels like one of the biggest things that you just miss by not reading the EXs in the main story. Like Priscilla's whole backstory was big, but they fill in most of the details from that throughout like Arc 7 and 8.
Yeah, agreed.
Whereas here, and maybe they will go back and cover more of EX1 in the main story, but right now there's just no way to truly know just how much pain Felix is in from having made that decision for Krush, and knowing everything that he's accepting, allowing to happen here, going back on their like initial oath made because of him, kind of just gets boiled down to Subaru's thought of, he was Krush's lover, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a subtle confirmation that there was already more going on between them before he died, or if it was like confession. That's something that is kind of left vague in the EX novels, the extent of the relationship at that time.
Yeah. And it's that part of the EX novel was mostly from Felix's perspective anyway, so it's entirely possible that it did go deeper between Krush and Fourier than it was for Felix. Like they may have had a physical relationship that he didn't have between the three of them, but
because when he asked it, when Super asked it to Felix, he kind of gave like a knowing, look, like it was like a soft confirmation. He didn't say it outright, but yeah.
It's a complicated.
It's either that or it's Felix looking at Subaru with a bit of resentment, knowing that it's kind of like a love never to be, and him saying that just brings more pain onto it,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like just a love that hasn't bloomed and will never get the chance to bloom, and Subaru's already making assumptions about it. And it's really interesting here. We get a lot of like really cool character stuff like throughout all of these chapters, but in some of the stuff towards the end of phase 1 here, a lot where we're building a lot of the themes we built in EX1, which is a fantastic novel that I believe you should read, especially with the light of Arc 10 coming in. And again, as Connor mentioned, we do a podcast on it that will come out before this one, so if you're interested, check it out. But I think that really hits me here about this particular section of this part of the phase is that we get confronted with a lot of things we've been told for a long time, but haven't really ruminated on with the characters, if that makes sense. Like, it's things we, the audience, can, like, think about and know about, but the characters haven't spoken to each other about, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And getting, like, some really cool interactions here with... I think Rem being here in the scene was a really good decision, like, from a plot and character perspective. It added a really good, like, counterbalance to a lot of Subaru's feelings and opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Where Subaru... as is mentioned by Felix here, is a prideful person, at least in this circumstance and how he's reacting. And of course, part of Subaru's character progression is that he turns a sin into virtue, and his pride can be a good thing. But he's kind of barreling over Felix and Crucia's feelings a lot here and trying to be forceful onto Felix a bit with like how he should handle this. And obviously it's out of Subaru's concern for his friend, right? Friends, I should say, and their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not respecting the sanctity of what it means to be a knight and a king.
Yeah, he's missing the context that Felix has for like just how serious of a betrayal this is for Felix to Crusch, where like the assumption was her doing this is going to take her out of the running. She's not going to be able to succeed after this.
And we've seen Subaru make this mistake already with a different king and knight duo with Julius and Anastasia / Fox Idna in Arc 6, right? Where I think he's clearly learned from this because he like, as he tries to help here, he realizes he's being too much with the help of his friends and pulls back, when in that circumstance he didn't. But it's interesting to see the ways that Subaru changes and also doesn't change, and how we're kind of confronted with that in this arc in a lot of ways so far. What I think was a really sweet moment here, though, but it was really dark too, is that Subaru, like, I wasn't expecting this to ever be addressed in the main story this directly, but Subaru genuinely asks Felix, like, are you gonna hurt yourself? Are you okay? I was like, whoa, yeah. I wasn't expecting Toupee to actually, like, directly address that in the story like that, you know, because especially due to there's sometimes different like cultural perspectives of what you could say openly, but I really liked that we had that moment where Subaru was like, are you going to be all right? And Felix is like, I heal people. I'm never going to do anything like that. But it's just like, I'm glad Subaru asked that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's not out of character for Subaru to have done something similar and extremely self-destructive after making a huge mistake like that himself.
Not at all. And my other favorite moment for this in general was Beatrice's contribution to this, where she tells Felix, like, I owe you a debt for saving Subaru through his gate and stuff. And so I'll save you in the same vein of how I would save Subaru in the way she saved him in Arc 2 specifically, which is really cool. And we get then a reference where Felix is like, oh, but if Subaru was falling off a cliff, would you come save me then? And then Beatrice is like, oh, I'd save Subaru and then come run immediately to your aid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to pay off sometime in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Just
for sure.
Guess. And then, you know, I think the fact that, you know, he then goes on and is like, no, I am not going to hurt myself. He feels like he has such a big responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. Being this blue. I mean, we see later in this arc how he instantly goes to the aid of injured people, even though he doesn't want to really be revealed. You know, he's in this moment, you know, being selfless, even despite like all the emotional turmoil that he's probably going through. The story, you know, as the Blue Serpent, he goes and saves people, risks getting kind of revealed to the group even after all this awkward stuff that's been going on.
Yeah,
I just think that's kind of shows his character and his intention.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very much he's a doctor character at heart, right? Like genuinely
100%. Where he can't pass up when he's in need, and again, that kind of just connects back to his similarities to Subaru, where he has a need to maybe even to be like redeeming himself right now and showing that he can still do good even when he's not at Crusch's side.
Exactly, yeah.
Whether he was forced into the position he's currently in or not.
It's yeah. I mean, what's really cool too is I think it reinforces that obviously the similarities between Subaru and Felix, but it also reinforces a part of Subaru's character development that he's been having, where he's been more pragmatic and more strategic, in where that can be a negative thing. That's kind of highlighted at the end of Phase 2, in relation to what kind of happens here at the near end of Phase 1 too, where like that strategic mindset is useful and powerful, and it's one thing that Subaru has adopted that's been his like biggest help in his toolkit so far, I'd say, apart from RBD itself, right? In conjunction with that, he's been able to use that to really help. But I think it's made him take too much of a step back sometimes from who he really is at his core as a person, which is, I help people. I want to be a hero, you know? Which is now crazy because Russell Fellow comes back, boys. He's back.
You remember this guy?
Russell Fellow was not on my bingo card.
No, it's not that. But then again, it made total sense. I was like, yeah, that character. I remember that character.
Yeah,
that's a name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the capital.
Yeah, it makes total sense that he's here. It's just still not something that we were expecting to come up, like, and especially not to mug Felix immediately.
Yeah, be like, give me.
Kid asks Felix and says, "Give me the sacrament of the mortal king."
Well, it's more of like, we need you for what you know about it, though, right? It's kind of the more of the idea.
I think so, because I think it's going to be another moment where she uses it. You know,
oh, nice.
It's possible of course. She's already used it too.
Yeah, I'm sure it is also possible then, but we might see another good old Arc 8 rehash here in the capital. This is sort of like a plan that she has. But I'm not sure if it's going to be quite to that extent, but we might see some resurrected characters again, who knows.
Kind of still sticking with more of Phase 1 as well. We also had the big meeting with the Amelia camp and the council as well.
Yeah,
which is a cool moment for our characters to finally kind of get brought in on the goings on, especially in relation to the Dragon Church's involvement here, which is the kind of shifting character dynamics. With what we know now, you have to look at with an air of suspicion, but it was still just good quality, wholesome ReZero moments for a while there that we had been missing for a long time.
Yeah, it feels like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's like brush fresh air. What I was going to say is that this arc so far has done a lot of very interesting emotional, depth searching.
Yeah.
In a way that I feel like, in the past few arcs has been kind of brushed over because of the momentum of those arcs, right? And this one seems, despite now we're getting into a very dynamic moment ever since Krush, whatever, but the first, 12 chapters is pretty much entirely devoid of that. Even afterwards, there's a few parts of the chapters where everybody is checking in on themselves and processing whatever. And there's a lot of good friendships at play here, especially with Amelia's camp. I think the core reflection that I have about Amelia camp, we'll get to all their events as well. But one of the big takeaways is that what Meili says, everybody in the camp is way too kind, and they've all become so amazingly supportive and like a family.
Yeah, it's kind of really showing that it's a good, trying to find the right words here, contrast against the situation like the Krush camp has fallen into, and the much more hierarchical structure that Filore's camp exists in, and kind of like the tense loyalty, I would say, that we saw from Priscilla's as well, where they
meant to contrast it pretty hard.
But it's a huge advantage that our group has, and that kind of gets highlighted in the next phase of how they're able to actually trust in each other for all of this too.
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of downtime, even though obviously there's something insidious cooking under the hood while this is happening, right? But I think one thing I really want to highlight about Arc 10 so far, especially from the point of Subaru and the relation to the rest of his camp, is Subaru's asking active questions instead of reactive questions now about the world and politics and the things around them. So there's this moment where obviously right before this meeting, they're they're doing like some chores together, which in itself, like the way it's been described, is really wholesome. Like Subaru, Garth, and Petra are like doing the dishes together, and the reason they're doing them is because they all lost a game of rock paper scissors, and this is how they divvy up the chores, which is really sweet. It's like Subaru has like lots of questions where he's like, oh, with Felt and Filore now being here, are they gonna like duke it out to be the true heir? And like, is the royal selection gonna be thrown out? Like, which is a worry we were talking about in our last podcast, right? Of like, does this just nullify the royal selection by its existence? And Subaru asks this question too, which the audience is probably wondering as well, which is like new for Subaru. And obviously it's the next part of his character development after the lessons he's learned from Al, where he's like, I have to learn more about this world, right? So the first way you learn is by asking questions and like theorizing and getting answers, right? And it's interesting to think that this Subaru, like, if he saw an Echidna in Arc 4 and had none of the preconceived notions of what Echidna is like, would probably ask her more questions this time around. You know?
Oh, 100%.
Exactly. He was foolish and asked her no questions. And because of that, he probably missed out on a lot of important things that would be good to know right about now.
And Subaru makes a really good point here that we, like, a big, like, thematic discussion we were talking about in our Arc 7 and 8 podcasts was fate, the future, and things that, like, predetermined things not being a very good force in this world. And Subaru equivalates that to the Dragon Tablet, the thing that commands the royal selection and the Kingdom of Lagunica as a whole, essentially.
Which is the type of sort of, like, dissection of the world sort of mechanics that we kind of do when we're theorizing.
Yes.
So hearing Subaru get to that point of making the connection of, okay, there's a lot of things that are predicting the future that people seem to distrust and have a good reason to distrust. This stone, why would it be any different?
Well, because I like the point that he was, like, that we were honestly just on as well, that he was so just accepting the isekai-ness of all of it that he even laments that he sucks as being an isekai Jin in hindsight, that he just like really didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
There's multiple times in this phase that he's like literally mentioned, I curse my bad isekai-ness. You know, he's like he's realizing how foolish he is.
And we even get Subaru reminiscing on like, wow, it's been 2 years now, guys.
just under 2 years, yeah. It's been a while. I think by my count we're at 1 year and 9 months.
Yeah,
he's been in Lagunica.
We're almost there, which is
Subaru even had a very interesting thing where he assumes the royal selection's half done.
Well, they said it was like 3 years, right?
A 3-year period.
That's how long it was going to go.
Yeah.
So he's not wrong in that.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of cannabis has been crippled at this late in the game.
You could say that, or have they been made an even playing field with the newcomer Filore?
Mm-hmm. This is true. If you believe what the state is telling you.
Yeah.
But then we get like, and this is something I want to chat to you boys about, because it's kind of interesting too, where we get this moment where Subaru's openly questioning these things, and Garth and Petra are like, huh? I've never thought of that. And Subaru's just like, what? Actually, I've got the direct quote here. To be honest, I think that was just a disaster of me being way too unaccustomed to a monarchy, with the king as the absolute authority. But could this be more like a deep-rooted religious view kind of thing? It's really interesting that Subaru is like, he didn't even process before that culturally, there's no way any random citizen in the Kingdom of Lagunica would question these institutions at all. And then Subaru's like, I'm questioning them. Ooh.
Yeah, and then but that immediately leads him to getting the invitation to speak with Miklatov. It's like you're asking the wrong question, Subaru. Although it seems like he's asking. It does make it really seem like he's asking the right ones, because this figure that we've grown to actually appreciate through EX1 and EX4 of like, this is like the rational, decent man that's on the council that we should listen to, is wanting to speak privately with Subaru.
Which is, when I heard that in the moment, I was so excited, boys. I don't know how you felt, but I was like, oh my god, they're finally talking to each other. This is so big. Yeah. It's Miklatov.
I thought
Subaru's going to learn about the Dragonstone.
Yeah.
I thought that too would happen, and I also thought that the suspicions that we see about him being a Synarch would be levied against him in a more civil way.
Mm.
So it would be him being like, I need to find a way to justify what I did, as well as like Miklatov being like, yeah, we can't, like, I can't just sit around and presume that you're just lucky. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it was something much more sinister than that, of course. But
yeah, I've come to realize that a lot of these questions that Subaru is asking and the things that get him in this situation too, like he has a moment after where he thinks about how incredible of a goal Krush has, right, of disconnecting from the dragon completely, despite how entrenched the dragon is in like every part of life in Lagunica. And it really makes you think, is this supposed to be the Felton Reinhardt arc? Because it feels like it's just Krush and Felix 2, Electric Boogaloo. Do you know what I mean?
no, I think this is the Krush and Felix arc, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems that way.
Perhaps we might get more into it, especially based on some of the characters that we get in the next phase. But something else to really note about the beginnings here is we're getting a lot of the characters from the game included in, even ones we hadn't like really fleshed out that much before. We got a lot of time with Sakura and with
my friend.
yeah, my friend.
Taiga, yeah. And they're both I actually like both of them pretty good. I like how a lot of times when a new female character is added, Teppei makes it a very like interesting thing to try to make them have a very interesting hook. Sakura just seems pretty chill, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There isn't anything to particularly like too much about her, and she isn't particularly a great friend or older sister to Flora here. But she isn't bad by any means. She just isn't like super wise or super reliable, you know. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't vouch for Filori so much. She kind of chides her a bunch, and she kind of just shrugs her shoulder at her antics sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it makes you wonder on how much everyone's in on the conspiracy when they're not that close to her, it seems. As much as like that's supposed to be the story if she's everyone's little sister, that they don't really come off that way regarding her. She puts on the role of being like, oh, I'm like the adorable mascot of the church that everyone cares about.
Right.
But no one really has that vibe as like the opposite part of that relationship to her.
Mm-hmm.
At least not that we've seen.
It's vacant in like an eerie sort of way, right? Which it doesn't feel quite.
Mm-hmm. Also, as like everybody mentions, it's like, would there have been this person and nobody would ever talk about it? You know what I mean? Like keeping it hidden seems kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who kind of has that revelation first. I think it might have been Subaru, but he was like, "Why?" Like somebody was like, "Why would the church keep this a secret? Like, who does it benefit?" You know?
He was also questioning why did the church not save the royal family if they could have saved Krush, and What's really interesting about some of the more like small politic things we get going on here is we learn like a couple things, like the council themselves are pushing Filore to be a replacement candidate for Priscilla. And Filore comes to Emilia to be consoled about it, and Emilia is just Emilia and is the best, is very sweet and tells her, no, you will not like run away from this, and because if you have this jewel and it shines for you, you must be worthy of it. What do you want as king? You know?
Right, I like that.
That's
also interesting because it might just be a moment to get us too endeared with the idea that she's earnestly pursuing the crown, and she's not like an unwitting pawn, or there's some nuance there.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it could be entirely farcical. It could be entirely this could be, for example, one of Capella's little, children, right? But it could be Capella herself, but I don't know which one it is yet.
Regardless, getting Emilia to say you should do this also gives legitimacy to her as this like new random candidate. If it's been encouraged by it, acknowledged by one of her opponents and her rivals, rather than like passed off or said, you really aren't a real candidate, then that's going to make her seem more like a actual potential candidate for the throne than she would have otherwise.
It adds extra legitimacy too, because Emilia was the one that was close by Priscilla's side when she passed as a candidate. So like naming Priscilla's replacement would be something that I feel like her naming on would add extra legitimacy to, even despite the prejudice against her, But we also learned that candidates don't actually need knights legally, apparently.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of knew that all the way back from Amelia, though, where, like, they make the exact point, like, she only had Roswaal.
But yeah,
Flory does want a knight.
And we get one of the coolest, like, confirmed lore drops that's just a sentence out of nowhere at the end of a chapter here. Do you want to...
Yeah, the immortal knight of Heinkel, our goat.
Oh, the goat!
He can't die. He's such a bum he cannot die.
Explains a lot that he's apparently, what did they say, bathed in the dragon blood with capital DB.
Yeah, so and the way this is described, I've actually got the direct quote here. This is what Flory says. One from the lineage of sword saints who, upon conquering the dragon's blood that washed over his body, was reforged into an immortal knight. What the fuck?
It does make sense, because Subaru's even, like, diluted cursed dragon blood did completely fix his limbs on two separate occasions.
Exactly, yes. And
I was gonna say this, yeah.
And we've this thing we'll talk about later, but there's another character where we can also mention that this has affected them, and kind of like what is this dragon blood doing, We now understand. We now know why Heinkel is the way he is. I truly believed at one point he was like a cursed doll or something. But I really like this explanation because it ties in not only to the kingdom itself, but also adds an extra mystery of why wasn't the dragon blood used to save the royal family? If did Heinkel like do a major fuck up and like actually spill all of it on himself and get bathed in it or something? Like,
but now I'm wondering if Heinkel hasn't this entire time been working with Capella, which seems crazy when you think about it. But maybe he tried to get her dragon blood to use on, and it didn't work.
Maybe he tried to. And maybe another thing about him getting bathed in that dragon blood is the reason he did that is he was bathing his wife in it, and he was in it at the same time as that happened.
Yeah, something like that. Because we know that the real dragon blood cures anything, right? It doesn't work like this. The only dragon blood that kind of works this way is the cursed dragon blood from Capella.
I mean, we don't know, like, the whole point of Amelia's royal selection and, like, what Roswaal has assured her is the case, so that this dragon blood can, like, really fix a lot of the issues that people have for different cases.
I think
you do need to kill the dragon for that dragon's blood, right?
I was about to say,
you have to slay something.
Well, from what we learned in Arc 9, it has to be the heart's blood in particular of Volcanica or the dragon, right?
So, I mean, we could invade Wallachia and go take Malerica's
the Cloud Dragon
blood.
Yeah.
We just need our CIA to go do a covert operation in Wallachia. I'm sure that would not cause any problems at all.
Yeah, well, as they mentioned, as soon as you... there's a lot of ways to provoke a war if you slander some people's names.
Yeah. This is a dangerous situation that we're getting into here. We've not even got into the big details of why this is dangerous yet.
Yeah.
Nope.
But yeah, Heinkel being a knight, again, he's going to be reintroduced. And I can kind of now see how, Feldkamp will still be really prevalent. You could say it's a 30-30-30 arc, in terms of focus. I have no doubt.
Though, at least for now, we are pretty heavily focused on the Kruj camp and the Flory camp. I guess we now kind of have to recognize it as well, because she is part of the selection.
Yep.
Yeah, the stone is glowing.
She is legit.
But from there, we get to the big cliffhanger of this phase.
Oh boy!
With Subaru, after meeting up with Taiga on the way to find Miklatov, sees him and all of his staff slaughtered by Krush.
Which, quick side note, by the way, I didn't think this was Krush initially. I thought for some reason this was Reinhard. I don't know why I thought this, but I was like, yo, is Reinhard, like, sleeper agent mode right now? What's going on? I was hardcore panicking for a second. Because the way this is set up is so diabolical too. Well, I knew something bad was going to happen because we get a moment where, like, we're going to go to Prestella with the help of Reinhard and we're going to, like, heal everyone and, like, with the sacrament that Filore can use to heal people and to cure lust victims and help the gluttony people. And like at this point, Subaru's like, like the church has a lot of secrets. What's going on with all of this? And then Subaru's like, oh yeah, I got a chat with Miklatov, right? And as I was mentioning earlier, I was so fucking hyped when this was happening initially, because I was like, oh my god, not only are we finally getting some answers, we're talking to the fucking goat Miklatov. Like, this is Prime Minister Kun of Laguna Curve right here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's him.
It is also a cool bit that this is all like as a last minute thing to do before everyone else does head off to go and fix the problem. I was excited for that road trip. I thought, we're gonna go see the Tome of Wisdom.
Yeah,
we're gonna go see Pristella again.
Yeah, me too. I was like, this actually makes sense. Okay, we're going back there, and because this has the people affected by the dragon blood, that means we can start doing the Capella stuff there. Like, I was at no point convinced that this was going to take such a sharp detour.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was pretty sure Capella was still in Pristella somewhere, that she was hiding amongst her victims in some way. I mean, she might still be. That's entirely possible. We don't know for sure where exactly she is in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, we gotta see Liliana.
Yeah, she's got to come back at some point.
She's not going to be happy with the news we got about Priscilla. In Pristella.
True.
Yeah.
Though it's all hidden right now, right? Like, nobody knows that Priscilla's dead.
Yeah, it's not
It
public,
is still like a need to know basis thing, because they didn't want to throw the royal selection into a huge mess without consulting with everyone first.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also keeping Roswaal occupied, if we've forgotten that from the first few chapters, that he is in Priscilla's old domain with
Schult.
Lord Schult.
With Schult, yeah. He might be busy for a while.
Yeah.
Unless that's where they all go to flee to. But just initial reactions from that, I mean, I can say that certainly at the end for Crucius Slaughter, I never doubted her for a second. As soon as it said that she was the one that did this, my biases just told me 100% I still gotta believe her. I'm sure she's in the right somehow, even though this seems really, really bad with our dear departed grandpa dead on the ground.
Yeah.
But what about you two? Like, what was going through your heads reading?
What was going through my head was, I was like, there's probably something to it. And then the next chapter opened with probably some of the most compelling and convincing reactions from Subaru in terms of like his the depths of his denial was so visceral.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it was like, please tell me no, like, just please give me any sign that there's some reason why you did this, right? There has to be some reason. Please, like, I can't handle this. Like, after all the betrayal that I've recently experienced, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, he's talked about it in this. He's like, there's been times in which the initial first impression of somebody has been bad, but then he's repaired it, right? There's only been a couple times where somebody's initial impression was good, and then it turned out to be bad. And he did not want Krush to be added to that list. And because of, like, all of those, like, line of thoughts, I was like, oh, and she's not responding?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she is too far gone, or something crazy is happening. Like, she's going, like, entirely scorched earth mode, you know what I mean? Because even at this point, it's like, well, she brings a compelling case. She's like, look, I'm never gonna be seen as people's kings. I've already lost. I might as well do this. It's pretty much what she said to Subaru. So at that point, I was convinced. I was like, there is a reason why she's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
My clue was just you're the real Subaru that I know. Made me like instantly think that we're dealing with doppelgangers just because we were expecting Capella to be involved in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more like, oh, I just got my memories back, and you are still Subaru because we've been apart from some time, or you've grown since. But like, oh, you're the same person. I thought that's what she meant then. But yeah.
I immediately knew she was talking about doppelgangers when she was talking about that. But my initial reaction to like all of this was so visceral. I was like with Subaru at the moment. Well, I didn't think that she was doing it like for bad reasons or that she was a bad guy. But when that happened, especially with the death of Miklatov and like the symbolism of him being cut in twain alongside the flag of Lagunica, it just hit like really hard, like imagery wise, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, this is like the guy that I see as like the upper brass of Lagunica, dead on the ground, bisected, with the fucking flag of Lagunica cut, and Krush with an eye patch standing over them with her 1,000-man strike, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's just like, it was a really visceral scene. I think it might have been one of the best cliffhangers in the series so far, in my opinion.
Oh, certainly.
I don't say that lightly. I really appreciate that through all of this, Krush has kind of like forced her way back into the main story in a way where I don't think she was initially intended to be by Teppei. Because, for those who don't know, apparently Krush was supposed to die in Arc 5, like in some initial drafts for the story. And Teppei's editor made sure to save her.
This is alleged, by the way.
This is all alleged. Yeah.
I couldn't find the proof on that recently.
Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that is true. I feel like Krush has grown as so much as a character in like Teppei's like own writing space that she's writing herself at this point, and she's forced herself back into the main story in this way, you know, where she's like, okay, there's this stuff going on with a divine protection that allows her to catch out fakes really easily, right?
Right. I love that little nuance that, like, this is the arc of imposters. The only person who can tell somebody's actually imposter or not is Krush. Mm-hmm. So she is necessary to defeating this threat.
And that all like being set up here I think it is one of the best like initiators into an arc's main plot in the story so far, in my opinion. I think it was just that compelling.
Because it really sets the stage for like what this arc is actually going to be, where we're on the outside needing to deal with people that have infiltrated the government. Because it's immediately present that that's the idea that it's seeding, even though we do supposedly get killed by Krush once because of her overpowered 100-man strike.
Which we learn it in a next chapter. I don't even think that was Krush that killed Subaru while he was passed out. I think it was actually Tiger.
Yes, that's right. It was, yeah.
Probably.
Because he's able to use EMM at the time. Like, it's pretty much confirmed that he did it. Because I forget what he said.
Well, they didn't have EMM active that time because the sword strike went off.
Right, so here's what happened, right? When, Krush and Subaru's passed out, they had the Taiga thing, right? And Taiga's like, let's just kill Krush, right? And it's like inferred that he was going to do that with everybody, right? At that point. So that's what happened last time, too.
Although it is a dark moment showing that Subaru, for a minute, really thinks that, did Krush kill me? Yeah. I can't let her become a murderer, even though she's just killed 8 people.
Yeah.
But it was self-defense. It was self-defense that time. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, it was, right? Because they literally locked her in a room, and then she felt the winds saying that they were all about to kill her. So
it was a preemptive self-defense, but it's not necessarily they didn't attack her yet.
But this is feudalism land, you know? Like,
she has the power to read people's thoughts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I not only love this as like a preemptive to go into like the wider arc as a whole, I think, like, as you were saying earlier, Gold, like, the viscerality of Subaru's reactions to this in the moment of, like, him thinking that Krush is a bad person initially and has betrayed them, and that he's gonna be betrayed, like, in the same way that he was with Ao again, like, the pain he feels with that being potentially Krush, was so stark and, like, so well written, where you could feel, like, the desperation, even like in the narration in that moment of Subaru, like, this can't be possible. Because Krush is one of the characters in the story that he really looks up to, right? And he sees as like someone that he can like emulate in a way, or that someone who is admirable and that is worthy of his respect. And one of the first people that he like grew as a person with in Arc 3 and like earned that respect naturally, it's so important to him as a character, right? So him in that moment thinking that Krush has turned traitor was so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was the biggest rejection that he's felt in a while, and I think it's, as he was saying in this part, he was like, look, I just had this moment with Al, and I can't go on living like this where I have to kill somebody before I understand the reason why. You know, like I can't do that. Like,
look,
it
he's
doesn't make
also
any sense.
He's really doesn't want the situation to turn into another Todd, where
Yeah.
there's just no rationalizing, there's no reasoning with them. Even though this is an incredibly terrible loop start that he's stuck with.
Oh,
he really doesn't have a lot of opportunities to fix this beforehand.
I know Satella has her reasoning, but Satella, come on, this fucking loop, man! Like, that sucks.
It's honestly, in hindsight, it is a fair one, because it's almost a hint to him saying, like, you should trust Krush.
This is the person you should be trusting. Yeah.
Like, she's not a danger to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what it feels like he's trying to be told. But it could also just be that the loops are still a little funky because he keeps moving around everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more Satella being like, nudge, nudge, you know?
Uh-huh.
But...
because you could just avoid it at that point, and you don't want to,
Yeah. What we learned, like, some extra cool mechanics about EMT here, like the spell that nullifies magic, where Betty and Subaru could use magic within it because of the way they've set it up.
Yeah, that if you understand how their anti-magic works, you could still use magic in it.
Mm-hmm.
That their example is, it will work once on Roswell, and then it probably won't work again.
Yeah.
I really liked the way in which it felt like Krush was going to lose no matter what, and Subaru felt like he could defeat Krush at any point, and that was what was so devastating. He was like, no, don't make me. Like, because Betty and him are both so, coordinated at this point, and their ability has gotten so strong that they could just easily defeat Krush if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, she instantly hits her with Aminia and freezes her in place. Like, Krush, without the 100-man strike, is not a physical threat to Beatrice.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dragon Eye thing happens,
which is crazy. And this is something I want to talk about a bit more of, like the effects of the Dragon Blood and her getting a Dragon Eye and just all of the symbolism that's being set up in this arc of, Krush and Felix's promise to each other and their promise to Foria, and the breaking of that vow, and that being represented with her obtaining this Dragon Eye that she now hides, like, ashamedly with an eye patch, which Subaru used to hide his hand with a glove too, by the way. I like that all of this is being kind of, like, set up, like, even from a visual and, like, character design perspective.
I wonder if it's her hiding it out of shame, because while, yes, she is not pleased with the Dragon Blood situation, Krush has never been one to, like, hide away parts of herself out of shame. She's not embarrassed to be a woman. She embraces it and defies what you would expect about it. I think the eye patch may be needed for her not to completely exhaust herself constantly from whatever power it's
not
on.
Not even just exhaust herself constantly. I think it's like a psychological thing to herself,
Well,
where
part of it is definitely like, you cover up something, like, obviously it's a trope, like there is the secret eye that you need to keep sealed because it is too dangerous or too powerful, right? But it's also meant to represent hidden wisdom that she's gained, right? She's lost something but gained something, you know what I mean? So she's transformed by it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Rudeus from Mushoku Tensei. It's Kakashi from Naruto.
Odin.
Where, like, this is her powerful hidden eye beneath the eye patch that I at first thought was showing her, like, an instant into the future, like a direct Mushoku Tensei reference for that. Where afterwards it seems like it is more like this is almost a direct copy of what the Sharingan initially did in the original Naruto, where it showed you how, like, magic is moving around in the system so that you can see, like, when someone's about to cast a spell, you can see how it affects the world around, how it interacts with everything. You can, like, detect mana, because she was saying, I saw it coming,
right?
Yeah,
for every attack that they were throwing.
And this is a really, like, not only does this, I think, fit with the lore of the universe of ReZero, where dragons are like true mana in a sense, like evolved mana, and obtaining a dragon's eye allows you to perceive it in, like, that way,
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but it's used in really interesting ways too, and we get a lot of really cool uses of magic in these particular chapters of section, which I think is really cool. Where she's not only perceiving the magic that's being fired externally, she's perceiving the flow technique from Taiga.
Yes, which we also see is not affected by MMM either.
No,
that you are totally able to use it,
and that then leads to a really cool organic thing that Taiga figures out, because we now learn that Taiga is the real traitor here. There's a really cool moment where Subaru uses and Betty use EMT, and then they use EMM shortly after, which is the first time we've seen them be able to do that, which shows that their bond is growing even stronger and their abilities together are going stronger, right? Then Subaru uses a culmination of all his abilities. He uses Invisible Providence to like pin Krush against this wall, and is like, "Why have you done this? Like, it's okay. We can talk. I'm here." And then Krush throws him to the floor, and you're like, "Oh god, what's happening?" And then an explosion comes out and happens. You're like, "Whoa!" And Taiga shot flame out of his body from inside of himself because he realized that the flow technique worked in this anti-magic spell. So if he shot it out from internally of himself and like constructed the spell that way, it would work. That's so fucking insane. Like
it is, and it also makes total sense in hindsight that is how their anti-magic works, as Beatrice is a spirit and their whole conceit is using mana in the atmosphere.
Yes, exactly.
So while Beatrice specifically, when she's contracted with Subaru, has to use the mana she gets from him, previously she was using mana from the library, and like Pucks explained that it always comes from the atmosphere. So it being a separate kind of zone of control, whether it's within your body or within the atmosphere, makes a lot of sense for how you're able to pull that off. I'm curious if their spell works less on earth magic as a result, because that's a lot more of like that's one that's like meant to be like internal, right? It's like based on the body. Whereas like wind magic is external; it's based on the world.
It's weird in that, like, at least to me, earth magic is the element I understand the least in the story so far. I know that's strange, but like I think I have a better idea of what yin and yang do over what earth do, like in terms of conceptually within the universe. Because the most I understand is through Garthiel's divine protection of earth spirits, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the basic is it's earthbending for some of it. That's how Al uses it. But like the conceit behind the 4-element system within Eastern mysticism, which is partially tied to this, especially with water being connected to life, is kind of like your big hint to that.
Yeah.
Where earth, I mean, they're typically in like Chinese sources, it's a 5-element system rather than 4. But 4 comes off of the yin yang, where it's you have 2 and you have 4 and you have 8 and 16, and it keeps going up by that. But who knows? Obviously Beatrice and Subaru do, but it is a really impressive moment that it all, just like how intensely magical this fight, that's still like a physical sword fight through part of it as someone's spinning around like a Beyblade is, where we really get to honestly see Subaru and Beatrice shine in like an important, in like intense fight for the first time in a while together. They usually don't get to do stuff together since like the beginning of Arc 6.
Because this is Subaru and Beatrice together in a way that we've not really been able to see since Arc 6, really. And even then they've gotten ripped apart, both in Arc 5, both in Arc 6, both in Arc 7, both in Arc 8, both in Arc 9. I mean, they're both kind of separated in Arc 9, but you know what I mean. And then like, in Arc 10, this is the first time we've actually seen them together working, and
like fully actualized too, right?
Yeah.
Like we get to see them work together against Sirius, and then they're split apart for the rest of Arc 5. We see them work together against the Mobbies in the desert and solving some of the puzzles, but then he's amnesia borrowed and he's screwed, and he can't do a lot anymore. Then they're completely split up until they're fighting at the end of Arc 8 in like the last battle there. So like honestly, this whole arc has been like the most consistent we've had Subaru and Beatrice together, where every time Subaru got knocked unconscious or they changed scenes, I was waiting for them to split them up again, and I have been so pleased that it is a constant. We're together. We're getting fed so many cute scenes
so
between the two of them.
They are cute. Yeah, they do say some very cute things. Beatrice says cute things. Subaru says some funny things. Come hide in my pocket.
Yeah, that was such a good one.
I am not so. The translation was off. I think it was supposed to be like Moe is probably what it's closest to, of like tiny and cute.
That was very funny to me. Anyways, yeah, but them together is great. It also feels like everybody understands that. They're like, well, thank goodness that Natsuki-san has Beatrice with him.
Yes.
I'm glad everyone recognizes how important that is.
Yeah, it's really cool to feel that recognition, not only from other characters, but to actually see it happen in the story. Like it feels rewarding in a very specific way, especially after the arduousness of Arc 9. Like it's so good to see this happen with them.
It feels a little bit more like everyone's working together through this political thriller.
Yeah,
together, right. Like, sure, people are getting separated and they're running up against troubles, but like so far, everybody's been able to sort of collaborate together to figure stuff out.
Mm-hmm. It's been really cool. It's like, it's very much, like, it's a really compelling, like, there's very cool plot elements of ReZero a lot of the time, but I feel like, especially so far, this has been one of the most engaging plots of the story so far, where we just you really feel like it's not just the character moment in itself, it's that we're all working together towards this goal. And I want to throw like heaps and heaps of praise onto Teppei for having this small moment with Taiga where he figures out how to use magic in this really organic way within the restrictions of EMM. Where to me that's like a really good showing of like good magic system and good character writing, where it's not like MC guy is the only guy that can understand magic ever in a world, and him coming up with this solution is a very reasonable and like logical conclusion for him to do. I think that small moment to me added a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's not too dissimilar to how Garfield overcame the bugs in his body.
Yes,
of like igniting his insides on fire to accomplish it.
But then we go into like a kind of like as we get into the new phase here properly, we get into we're fleeing into the sewers.
Yeah, into the sewers. And God, they really sell you on the fact that it is gross as fuck down here.
Yeah, not nice at all.
Yeah,
where we have we get the lowdown from Karush too of like confirming, hey, I am still the good guy here. You don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You made the right decision. Beatrice made the right decision on your behalf, saving you.
And also made the right decision not to trust Taiga because he turns out to say, yeah, these guys are traitors too.
Yeah, he immediately rats you out. Yeah, and everybody's chasing after you. Interesting, right? Then we get to the fact that, like, he's still, like, Subaru's immediately relieved. Even though he doesn't, before he even knows that she's alright, he's relieved to be with her and try to resolve this still, you know what I mean?
But he gets his opportunity.
Kirsch explains exactly what happened to her, and that there are people, obviously trying to subvert it, and they've infiltrated the kingdom's very core, and that all this stuff happens. And Subaru's like, wow, you do have all your memories back, right? And then she's offended by that. She's like, oh my god, why would you even say that? Because obviously the Kirsch that I was so bad that even Felix would betray me.
Oh.
And then Subaru's like, look, this is actually a great quote. I'll probably read this bit by bit because this is Subaru's thoughts, basically.
The whole scene's amazing. It's like so deep into her character.
Mm-hmm. But Subaru says, before trembling, quivering Krush, Subaru grazed his molars, intended to proclaim, that alone is wrong. Not only in this moment, he had even conceived an identical thought before they had started moving. Krush was misapprehending the meaning behind the decision that Ferris had undertaken, and the extent of his resolve. Ferris had certainly reduced Krush's vow, the vow for the departed royal family, to scrap paper. However, having merely heard about it, Subaru could only imagine how important it must have been for Krush. However, the same also held true for Ferris. Ferris, too, loved the departed fourth prince, yet he had made this choice, his love for the living over his love for the dead. Subaru did not wish for that to be repudiated, much less when it's a tragedy between two fellows such that, while facing off with sentences going both ways, saw them failing to come to understand with each other due to a simple misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. It was a misunderstanding. Like, really, they both, like, I think that they both deep down know what was in each other's heart, but it's just too painful to realize that they both failed in such large ways.
Yes, they do know what's in each other's hearts, but they also are at the understanding that that is an irreconcilable difference between them. That Krush despised what she was, but more despised what she has been forced to become by being woken up the way that she was and healed the way that she was. That it's stripped her of her legitimacy, it stripped her of her oath, of like her whole pathos. Yeah. Of like, this is like her entire purpose in this selection was to prove that we don't need the dragon to interfere in this matter.
And this is where I'm going to refer back to a moment that we didn't really talk about from phase 1, because I feel like it's really appropriate here, where we get this moment where Subaru is as we're visiting the graves and paying our respects to the royal family in Foria. We get this moment where Subaru's like, "Oh, didn't you once say that I was kind of like this guy? And did Krush say that too?" And V's like, "Shut up!"
Yeah, how dare you? I hate you. I hate your friends. I hate your camp. How dare you?
All I could think of in this moment was like, that's a very Foria thing to like feel and recognize in this moment. You know, it's a very Foria moment to me of like just understanding the pain of this moment and like how tragic it is, but Subaru, regardless of that situation, really trying to hope best for their relationship and their friendship and like rooting for them and wanting to help as a friend was so wholesome. And to me, I'm really appreciating that Subaru taking this role from Foria in the story and like the emotional impact that has on Felix and Krush, because they recognize that both, is really complicated and bittersweet, and it's not just a purely good thing, you know? That it's got like these undertones of really deep emotions, and that like Krush, like I feel like, and this is the opposite for Felix, where he sees a lot of himself in Subaru too, and then also Foria, so he has that resentment. I feel like Krush resents herself when she sees Subaru and Foria side by side a little bit, where she feels like perhaps she's like betraying Foria in a way. I don't know if she has direct feelings for him in that sense, but do you know what I mean? Where like she sees that same...
Well, he's like, at that point, it's just a reminder of her oath in general, of seeing like, this is the kind of person that I believed in before. And I have to show that he was worth fighting for, that he is worth continuing my efforts, as in vain as they may seem to her in this moment.
Which is why it's so meaningful that Subaru decides to side with her and be by her side. And like, there's a moment where she even describes, like she even mentions how relieved she is that he's with her, right?
Yeah, and Subaru's not willing to abandon her because, very much as he says, this is the same situation that he felt in before after his first loop against Petalcuse. Like this unyielding rage and need to act, only that Krush is able to do it without help, and he wasn't. So he wants to make sure he's there to help her through it, like she was there to help him through it. It's almost like a debt owed to her for that.
Yeah, and it's why I really like ReZero chapter names in themselves are always really good in my opinion. I feel like they really hit towards the themes of what that chapter is saying. But the chapter name of Together Onto Hell and like the arduousness of that like naming of like Subaru's deciding to delve deep into this terribly difficult situation with this person because he wants to come out on the other side with her, you know?
Yep.
Also
with him is Betty, of course.
Hell yeah!
And basically, the reason I mentioned that is because there's a funny line, and it also is the name of the chapter where he's like, "Beatrice, I'm taking you to hell with me," and then she says something like, "I'll be there even if we're sealed together for 400 years," which is a reference to Melancholia.
Yeah, spoiler for Melancholia, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought it was a funny little tongue-in-cheek reference.
And
no, it was hilarious. I screenshotted that to make sure that we talked about it today too.
It's so fun. It really is fun. I also like that in this moment where Subaru is deciding to go on this side quest that now becomes the main quest, that he like trusts the rest of the camp with Otto in his mind. Like he trusts Otto so implicitly that he's like, he knows Otto will sort them out, you know?
He's not wrong either.
No, he's not. What did you guys feel like with the scene where like Marcos comes in and is like with the soldiers and is like really imposing and like intimidating everyone and it's like, I'm here to ask questions.
Immediately I was excited to see Marcos because I want to see more from him, and I'm like, yeah, Marcos. Oh, wait a minute.
Please
don't betray us, Marcos.
But I also like the idea that, immediately he was judged highly by Garfield, right? He was like, wow, this guy's really strong.
You can tell that like this guy earned his way to being the #1 knight.
The way it's described
Like,
too,
yeah,
like it's masterful. Like it's a bit of narration where like Garfield's thinking, like in the shadow of the Sword Saint, the true like knight of this nation was standing here all this time. You know,
right. That's what I was about to say. If the Sword Saint wasn't here, he'd probably be the strongest person in the kingdom, I think, is what is being
It's
said.
the implication.
Yeah.
Which I also wonder if that means that Marcos has been replaced or not. If he's actually is Marcos and that he's just following orders and that he might actually not be compromised fully.
Could not be
It's
compromised,
possible.
but he could be too dogmatic in his knightly ways.
It's the same with Ryan, which we'll get to in a bit. But
yeah, but he's also, felt as also being held hostage as well. So,
but it's very much we're seeing a lot of the flaws of the kingdom here as well. You know.
Yeah.
Front and center.
Just a bit.
Just a tad, like corruption and ineptitude and bad government and literally fucking secret invasion.
yeah, a secret invasion that you haven't been able to fend off forever.
Yeah.
The fact that we learned that, like the nations besides, like we have this idea, right? I'll bring this up now. I don't know when this gets brought up, but basically, for a while now, the other nations have been trying to probe and destroy Lagunica from within because they see how flawed it is. And basically the only thing that's been stopping them is Reinhardt.
Yeah, like there's we learn, right, that there's the reason why Reinhardt became beloved as the Sword Saint for the kingdom was that as a child as the Sword Saint, he like stopped a plot by all the other nations at the same time to destroy Lagunica from within, which is just it adds a lot of weight onto why, like, at least the wider Lagunica public already is the Sword Saint. Reinhardt's important, but Reinhardt is the capital Sword Saint, to them. Of like,
and also and also that everybody, even more so than the dragon, is known Reinhardt.
And this is probably where the Reinhardt law came into effect, right? Of like, we do not allow you into any of our our countries.
Almost certainly. That he probably went in and to each of the other countries and
took him out,
destroyed them.
I'm curious if he just destroyed all of their intelligence apparatuses at that point in that moment. He just
probably,
like went in.
Whatever spies that came in.
Yeah. Which is fucking...
Or just their entire standing militaries.
Which, I don't know about you boys, but I would read an EX novel about that. That sounds interesting as shit.
Well, there's Reinhardt backstory stuff that's been obfuscated from us for a while.
Damn you to pay!
I wonder if that's why Abel's dad incinerated himself, right? Because isn't that what started the selection process for the Empire about that time ago?
It's in that novel. I forget exactly the reason why, but I don't think it was
he
because of that.
says the reason why is like, I need to like start the next competition and like let all of you begin fighting. But does he think that he's not fit anymore because he loses this war?
That'd be funny, but I don't know if that's the implication.
But it's cool to know that all, like, especially as us, as like how over analytical we are about like the deep flaws within Lagunica and how it's a nation doomed to disaster. It's like, oh yeah, in universe the other nations recognize the shit out of that and have been trying to exploit it, right? Like, it's very satisfying in a like, oh, that's sad, but also we were right.
We were right all along.
Apparently, Subaru's the Sin Archbishop of Sloth, guys. Did you know that?
Yeah, that was a very interesting angle to go at it with. Everybody was like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Because that's my initial response was like, that is quite the accusation levy, specifically because, I mean, like, sure, they go through it like, yeah, by the way, did you know that Rast told us that? And it's like, yeah, sure, Rast is a reliable... it's true that he does have him inside of him, but like,
Well, they're implying that this is a continuation of the second to last Arc 3 loop, where Betelgeuse does possess him and he makes Julius and Felix kill him.
Right.
That this is Betelgeuse. Yeah. That he's just pretending to be Subaru.
And we get, and this was such a brilliant moment of setup in the story for me, because it felt like such a complete moment where we get all these accusations levied against Subaru. And they're all moments in the story where that people have questioned things, but we haven't got a full resolution to that in the story so far. Like Anastasia or Anakidna or Foxidna looking into Subaru's background, and that getting revealed in Arc 6, you know, and like this guy has no like background. Where does he come from? And all of these amazing feats that he's performing and how insane they are, and then that being a really interesting point of contention where when he's like positively perceived, it's really powerful. But if there's any way he could be negatively perceived, that can be seen as immediately suspicious, right? It's a really obviously it's bullshit and it's infuriating, but it's also like I understand the logic of what's being set up here, you know?
Yeah, I mean it makes sense in a certain way. I mean they're pretty much saying like, well, you know, maybe the Centaur bishops, they don't get along well, so maybe that this is just a ploy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. I mean, we've seen a type of Centaur bishop who is obviously scheming behind the scenes and is not friendly to other Centaur bishops. It doesn't really give a fuck about them. Oh, who's that? It's Capella. You know?
Yeah.
So that sort of idea being levied isn't wrong per se if one of those existed, but you know, wrong guy for sure.
Yeah.
They also, I mean, they don't really bring it up. I mean, they sort of do, which is just like, where's this guy from? And it's interesting that those aren't seen as like, sure, everybody who knows Subaru can be like, I can't believe you would think this about Subaru. But none of them have yet been like, well, they make some good points, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I mean, it's also, their arguments are very similar to Aridna's arguments from back in Arc 6, which happened to be an episode that dropped right around when this chapter was dropping too. So I wonder if that was like a reminder to Tappei, like, he is quite suspicious.
There's a lot of things like that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's very much that feeling of like Subaru has a lot of things that can go against him here, and the bureaucracy in the system is very much putting that on him right now.
As far as anime things happening when they air, basically, I bet you like the sandworms coming out was for a reason. You know, because how did that come back to Teppei's mind? Oh yeah, because right then he was watching the anime and was like, I like those sandworms.
Yeah,
I should bring it back.
I've never, now that I can see them in person and moving, I think they're rather cool. Let's have Meili still be holding on to them even after all this time. She just never lets go of them.
Yeah, but sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I really like the setup here of just okay, we get Otto and Co, and then Emilia and Ram separated from each other because Emilia and Ram have to go answer these questions, and Ram volunteering herself was the GOAT move, by the way. But it's
even as still exhausted as she currently is.
Yeah, I guess we can discuss that now. I really enjoyed the characterization of her, like, her chronic pain in that chapter, and how, like, just human it felt, and, like, truly, like, real, in that sense of the way she, like, keeps herself to a certain standard is by holding herself to a very rigorous standard, right? But as soon as she gets to relax, now that Rem's home and, like, up, she lets her guard down. And in that moment is when this terrible thing happens, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she has to refocus her energies, and it's made her grouchy and angry. So, like, she snaps at multiple points where she probably shouldn't in this interrogation. And to me, it's very endearing and, like, human.
Honestly, that's something that I almost forgot to mention because of how many plot moments go on. But, like, the way that Teppei frames Ram's emotion was probably some of the most vulnerable we've seen her, and also, like, as you said, it was very human. Like, I really enjoyed the way in which we got from her perspective something that I feel like doesn't really occur to people in anime very often, which is just like lethargy. Of course, we know that, you know, Ram has disability, but like this idea of like, because I'm tired, I'm a little bit more irritated, and I know I'm a little bit more irritated because I'm tired, but I have to just deal with this, you know? That's something that rarely comes up in anime with just like, you know, interactions with people. Yeah. It just feels very lived in. It felt very, you know, normal.
It's just, it very much speaks to that experience of like, life goes on and sometimes not in the best ways, even when you're in like a lot of pain or going through difficulties. And like just that element of, I think especially just that the raw frustration she's feeling, and that the audience is feeling too, of you accusing Subaru of all of these terrible things, and it's Ram's not only tired, she's exhausted, she's done so much, she's wants to spend time with her sister, she wants to relax, she wants to finally like let her body like slack a little bit, because she can't recover in the same ways that everyone else can in the camp, you know? But she's so important to how the camp runs, and she is like important in this moment, that she has to step up to the plate when maybe she really doesn't want to. And that's a really big speaking of her character, like as a moral person standing up in that moment, I think. It's also just, it was really like almost invigorating in that moment of her getting angry and snapping at the Sage Council and at the Knights for constantly accusing Subaru of all of these things, and Ram's just laughing and snidely reporting back to them of just like, this is ridiculous, what do you mean? There's no way this bumbling idiot is a conspiracy nut doing all of these things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's just stupid old lovable Barasu. What are you talking about?
You cannot be serious that you think he is that conniving. Come on, all of you.
That was just a fantastic moment. And then we get this moment that I loved for Emilia too, of like her doing almost like a Subaru pose is the way I imagined it. And like the way she does it in season 2 against the kid though, right?
It's her like I'm following Subaru's example pose for sure.
Of just like, I won't let you guys slander my knight. And I won't let your discrimination and hatred towards me stop me from following the right path. It was just such a like, oh, I'm so proud of how far Emilia's come moment, you know?
Yeah.
And Ram being really proud of her too was so cute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you finally become person that I can follow.
It was that in itself. I feel like one thing this arc has done so well so far has made, like, obviously we have a main plot that's really engaging and interesting and it's keeping us on our toes. We've had lots of cliffhangers, but all of these individual character moments on top of that have had so many like complex emotions and build up throughout the entire series, and every single one of them has delivered for me. I don't feel like there's been a miss for me yet, honestly.
No, this arc's been super consistent and great on that.
I think like the nuance and the emotion that the characters are experiencing are by far some of the most consistently interesting, I would say. Because not only are they very like real and like believable, but you always understand it immediately, even despite how complex it is. Like, he's hitting on it every single time where I'm like, he's understanding a core of an emotion that I feel like most people would overlook, and also is relevant to the greater themes of this arc. You know, I like it a lot. And also the character arcs of the characters. Like, he has a great touchstone on where all the characters need to be and how they're growing, and also all their insecurities and flaws.
And all their relationships with each other as well are getting super developed here, or kind of highlighted.
Like, it's strange that when you get like moments where it's like, oh yeah, do you want Ram and Mei character development in terms of their friendship or relationship? Like, it's just random stuff like that where like this arc delivers, where you're like, Otto is definitely the leader of this group and they all respect him and they're all like listening to him and all this stuff. Like, all these things is driving forward.
The Rem has had some really interesting ones with everyone as well. Like,
yes.
The one with Garf was super interesting, that she seems to naturally be taking a similar stance with him as Ram did, or Ram always has, and that seems to be like a comfortable and familiar way. That I'm curious if that is how it's always been for them. If like she had a similar stance towards Garfield.
I feel like with Garth's like reaction to it very like, obviously he doesn't like no, right? But like I feel like in that subconscious way that this works, I feel like that level of comfort kind of proves that was similar to their relationship before. Yeah. It's just, it seems less unhindered than it probably was before.
Also, there was some really nice Rem and Emilia moments this arc so far as well.
Yes.
Really sweet. She seems to definitely care about her an incredible amount, just like Subaru does, I think was her line.
Just Rem being Emilia's like hype woman is something I'm all here for, you know? Like,
yeah,
it's so cute and sweet. I guess we can like discuss like a little bit about this moment with like between Meili and Rem, like a really because this was like almost like a philosophical discussion between them, where we get this really awesome moment where it's in Rem's perspective and she's thinking about how, you know, like all of these people she's lost, and like Priscilla in particular, like the loss of her and how that like looms and over her every day, and the feelings of that and the regret of that, contrasted with Meili's regrets about the life she's lived until she was reformed. And Meili's really complicated relationships and feelings of like, I don't belong here, and Rem like relating to her and saying, I don't feel like I belong here either sometimes because of what's happened to me. And like Rem allowing Meili to have the space to forgive herself is such beautiful setup for the fucking tragedy and heartrending moment that happens after that. Because it's like, oh, like it's such a satisfying resolution to Meili's character development where you're like, I'm really proud of her. She's really growing as a person. She's growing into the person she was always meant to be without Capella's evil grip on her, you know?
Yeah, Meili's gonna be my secret MVP of this arc. I'm already calling it. I think that her development is going to be very interesting this arc. Just to guess.
Yeah,
because she's going to be
almost certainly right.
One of the main characters against Capella. I think she's gonna maybe get a retribution. I hope.
And this is also because I feel like this is the same for Crush, where she's really on her retribution arc of these people let my boyfriend not boyfriend die. You know, like they let his family die. They let everything I believe and stand for die. They've torn what I hold dear asunder. I feel like it will be the same for Meili and maybe like the rest of these characters that we'll mention soon, of like this retribution, and it's not even like vengeance, it's like justice, like reclaiming what has been taken from them through repayment, you know? And that in itself feels really empowering as a concept. Like just to read in itself, it's really engaging. But I guess we'll get into a little bit here, like this little mini plot with Otto and Co getting into a big tussle.
Yeah, where they piece together that Emilia and Rom are not going to be coming back, and then they need to get out of here now before they're fully trapped here in the city. So Otto leads their whole little great escape plan out through the city and trying to get out as quick as possible, being guided by the Zada bugs.
But
okay, everybody, Batman versus Otto with Zada bugs. Who's gonna win that fight?
Otto, because he has the prep time with the bugs.
Well, the question is, does Batman have proper Zada bug spray in his utility belt? Because if he does, then he's just going to scare them all away and make Otto completely isolated to go.
Good point.
He could also just bring a jar of mealworms that are going to overwhelm him with voices that he doesn't understand. Wouldn't they all speak? I guess he can communicate with all creatures, so they wouldn't speak a different language. But just a bunch of things that he maybe accumulated through the Batcave, he would have answers.
Something's cooking on there, but
throw a challenge at him though.
I, despite how little of a presence Reinhard has had, Reinhard has had in this arc so far, every single time he's been involved, like the themes have just been so strong and like executed so brilliantly, where we get this moment where earlier in phase 1, Otto and Reinhard are talking and we get some more feelings of why Heinkel wants to remove Reinhard from the position of Sword Saint, like the emotions behind that and like the fracture within the Van Estrella family, and Otto telling Reinhard, I don't know if we can be friends, and then that paying off in this moment of Reinhard like abusing like Otto's agency as a person by challenging his divine protection by using it to deceive him.
Yeah.
It's such a...
I'll be honest, I was really confused on what was happening there, of like how their interactions were going that caused Otto to lose all of the Zada bugs.
It's
think the man in the air or something got scared away or whatever.
It's either that or he was intermittently taking the Reinhardt was taking the protection, use it against Otto, and because we learn at the end of this phase 2 that it's still not working quite right. Apparently, like it's almost glitching out like RBD did in 7 and 8.
Right. So he doesn't say it's not. He just says it's not working properly. But when we were in Otto's perspective, it went quiet. So did Reinhardt just fully take it? Is more of what I was unsure if that had happened.
There's a good chance that he might have, honestly.
Because whatever Reinhardt does, we don't know exactly what he's doing. Because it's not from his perspective here. We don't get he doesn't explain what he's doing either. So
we do get a little bit of Reinhardt perspective, though.
A tiny bit.
Not very long or in depth, but
yeah.
It is still there.
But I like, if that is what was happening, like the thematic relevance of him taking that from Otto, which is such a deep part of who he is as a person, is such a deep wound that he's inflicted on him in a way that I don't think could be healed, even if this situation is resolved. Which is why that moment of Otto saying, I knew we couldn't be friends, and Reinhardt was like, I happen to agree, was just so, like, it hit so hard.
Because he even makes a point of this has become part of my identity in recent years. It's so important to his role within the Amelia camp that he's been using it so often and really pushing it to its limit, that without it he kind of loses a part of who he has become.
So even if he's not directly taking it and he's challenging how Otto uses it with other divine protections, it's still a deeply raw emotional thing that he's doing to Otto.
I think this is the most dark and cold we've seen Reinhardt.
Oh yeah.
Since at least he killed Teresia. It's either that or now.
Yeah. And we get this really interesting moment where Reinhardt is initially hesitant to act out against his friend Subaru's group and to enact all of these things, and then the civil servant brings up a specific name as they're bringing Felt in: Volga Cromwell.
Interesting name that.
I'm sure it has no plot relevance whatsoever, but just the way that was written was so fascinating to me. Of Reinhardt, maybe this last tiny bit of humanity within Reinhardt is kind of almost screaming out in that moment, right? It's almost like his feeling of his last time that he could be human and not just be the capital H hero, the capital S sword saint, And in that moment, it's shot down with Volga Cromwell. If you don't follow orders, if you don't do this, Felt will feel the consequences. She'll lose her grandpa.
Felt loses her, which is the whole reason why she's even in it in the first place, is because they threatened his life.
Yeah, exactly.
And in that moment, it feels like it's not only the death of Reinhardt, the ally as a character, at least within this arc, but it's also the death of I feel like Reinhardt's idea of his potential to reclaim his humanity. Even though I don't think it was actually there, and I think it's a more major issue that Heinkel needs to help him progress through. It feels to me like that was a really impactful moment, it echoed almost.
Well, you know what is very clear to me is that he becomes so cold and jaded that he doesn't even really he gets surprised, and we see it happen with him versus Al in the last arc, where he gets into this mode and he doesn't even realize that he could be bested or tricked or overcome. So he's like, no, you guys, you're just doing whatever. I'm not gonna hurt you because I'm not that much of an asshole. I don't want to. But you guys, whatever you do doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna do the least.
It's arrogance. It's pride.
Yeah.
It's
sure is pride.
Sure is, bud. But it's in this moment of the Amelia camp is literally giving their all. We get Wilhelm coming in, and thematically, it was chef's kiss moment when he did pairing up with Garfio again, like he did in Arc 5. Mwah. Amazing.
Yeah, and we also do get to see Garth's progress.
Yes,
that's been made over the last few.
And it was so sick. Like Teppei's got so much better at writing fights too. Like, it was awesome. But just like the pure surprise of Reinhard of just being slightly pushed back and just like, you arrogant fuck, of course. Like people can.
Like, I've gotten stronger. I've gotten better. And I'm not as headstrong as I used to be.
And I love that Garfield was like, literally get your head out of your ass, you know?
Because they make the point of like, this is Garfield at the best he's ever been against Reinhardt, who's at kind of the weakest that they fought him so far, that he's been when fighting so far, and thus the playing field is evened out between them.
Yeah, because you don't defeat Reinhard by defeating the Sorcerer, you defeat Reinhard by defeating Reinhard, what's little of the man is left inside, you know? And he's kind of defeated in spirit here, I feel like, when he's doing this.
Up until Garfield kind of loses sense of what's going on, just knowing I have to fight red. Oh, there's green. I'm not going to hurt green. I have to help green fight red.
Or stepping in to take a hit for him. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was so heart-wrenchingly, like, beautiful and, like, also tragic. And Wilhelm coming in and, like, challenging Reinhard. But also in that moment, I feel like Wilhelm accepting that he's not the one that has to break through to Reinhard, and that's Heinkel's role as his father. But Wilhelm still steps up and challenges him. It was like so fucking cool. But I think just this, the thing I think I want to talk about the most from this moment is actually Meili. Like
100%.
Her.
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that moment with Meili finally giving in to, and I mean Petra's reaction kind of explains it all. When Meili does this thing to kind of divert Reinhard, it is the perfect thing because she knows that Reinhard can stop anybody without any actual injury happening to anybody, right? But at the same time, everybody will fear her as the mob beast user. You know, they'll have a stigma against her, and the pardon against the country will be broken because she uses her ability again. And that being the case, she's throwing away any hope of being loved by the people, right? That's what she's thinking at this time. I have my doubts. I feel like she could still recover from this point, but like she at this point is thinking that she's throwing it all away. And Petra knows how the significance of this moment and this action.
And even Petra was saying, like, don't use it for this reason and this reason. But really what Petra was worried about was Meili losing. And it's not just, I think, even the love and the goodwill of the people of the kingdom. I think it's the, like, literal concept of her freedom and future.
Yeah, it's self-destruction. It's self-corruption. You're sabotaging yourself. It is painful for her to do this because she has so much hope. Or she's denying herself the hope that she wants.
It's like, it's true and genuine, like, selfless self-sacrifice and martyrdom, almost, you know? That, in that moment of her being confronted with potentially being with her sins and not allowing her growth to actually be the stamp that's left on her as a person and character to the world, but to know that she's making the right decision, ultimately that she cares for people enough to make this decision, proving that she is worthy of redemption and that she is, like, worthy of love, but simultaneously condemning herself to not be in that moment, is like one of the most, like, I think underratedly, like, beautiful moments in the series so far.
I'd agree with that. It's a very on-brand sacrifice for the show of giving for the story of giving up something that you've worked so hard for the betterment of the people around you. And I think it's a really poignant detail that devastates Petra more than it devastates Meili in the end.
Yeah.
That she has to be the one who comforts her throughout that night following that.
But also that it kind of, like, drives a dagger into Reinhard's heart too when he sees this little girl crying and saying, yeah, I'm evil, I don't care about these other people's lives, it's just the people that I kind of care about now, you know?
Yeah, sure kid.
It's just like, oh my god.
The depths of the pain. And I mean, especially because Arc 6 anime, I mean, this is another thing that probably got added because of the anime, is on your mind. It's, to me, like, one of the things that I've been noticing more in Arc 6 is how she's, like, so foreign to the feeling of how everybody treats each other in the Amelia camp, and how she's, like, what are you talking about? It's so weird that you care about me. Like all this stuff that's so absent to her, you know.
We also, as kind of the follow up to that, get kind of continuing on with the same group. A really interesting confrontation I didn't really expect to see between Rome and Wilhelm.
Yes!
Following that, as they get to the other old guy way back from Arc 3 is housing them there.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the Elder Knights, I'm assuming, that had failed against the White Whale previously and succeeded on that last attempt.
Yes.
With all of them there together as he's getting kind of repeatedly referred to. You're Volga Cromwell, right? I'm not going to call you Rom. You're Volga. Don't know what you're talking about. You're Volga Cromwell.
But he keeps responding to the name.
I love how even noble Wilhelm still holds a grudge against him. You know, even though he was tricked, he still has. You know, he's still calling him a bastard. You know, he's like,
you son of a bitch.
I mean, these two do have history. They literally fought each other in the war, right? Like,
yeah. He was the mastermind behind the Demi-Human War. And obviously they fought, and a lot of people died in that war and stuff like that. So I know that Wilhelm still holds a grudge, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was indeed tricked.
It adds an extra layer too, because they mentioned this again, but Wilhelm was the captain of the guard 15 years ago. And this is when that princess is snatched and kidnapped. And when he's mentioning to Volga/Rom here, like, is felt that girl, and Rom is like avoiding the question, and everyone can tell that he's not saying the entire truth. It like adds so much tension of like Wilhelm's almost saying, not only did you proact this war that like traumatized so many people, that I lost friends in, that I fought in, but you might be behind like this thing that not only put blame on my son, but also ruined my career and led to my wife's death. Like, that's a lot of vitriol and spite.
Yeah. Although he does make the mention there that he's not mad at Reinhardt about it anymore. And he seems to have come to some sort of resolution about that.
He's growing. The goat.
That he's now mad at Teresia for it.
Yeah. I mean, even the fact that he allows himself to be angry about something with her, I think is honest. I know that seems strange. This is going to seem wrong, but I think is more healthy than the attitude he had to her before, where he kind of galvanized her in his mind.
Yeah, I mean, there was work to be done in avenging Singer again, and it harkens back to the fact that Wilhelm is very reactionary in the immediate sense, but often comes to regret it much later, which very, very Subaru-esque of him.
Yeah,
saying the wrong thing in the moment.
We also get a moment where everyone in the situation together, like, well, first off, the person that's housing them is like, I don't believe any of this bullshit that Natsuki Subaru-san is a Sith Archbishop. None of the public believes that. That's insane. Which I think goes to show how much the public sees Subaru as a hero, right? But
yeah,
like, it's also really cool to see random strangers have faith in Subaru, which we get a moment with Subaru where another random stranger has faith in him, and it's like gratifying. But we get this moment too where the whole camp is like kind of getting down and upset because they have the prospect of the best decision for them is to leave the capital right now to then create a counter-strike, you know? Wilhelm says this really uplifting thing in that moment, and it's like, oh, that sounded a lot like Subaru. And he's like, oh, I thank you. I'm quite flattered by that. It's just like, I mean, he is trying to model himself off you, so, you know, it's working. But
that's kind of where we've left them off, though, is...
Yeah.
They have pieced together that people are getting replaced, at least. Like, Otto, Volga, and Wilhelm are a pretty intelligent trio to be together in the same room.
Right, exactly.
Do you guys think that Meili has clued on to what's going on and who's behind it at all?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet, but maybe soon.
I feel like it's not even that she's directly clued into it, but she might be in denial almost that it's happening.
It'll take a while. I mean, I don't think she understands too much about it yet, because all that she probably knows is, oh, really? They're keeping Onisan as, you know, think he's Senator Bishop? Weird. Okay, we're getting kept here. Oh, they really think it. Okay, well, time to leave.
Yeah.
Man, we just got attacked by Reinhardt. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
She and Petra weren't in the room when they were discussing that people have likely been changed and replaced.
Yeah.
Because she does know that Capella can do that, as she was apparently punished by getting turned into like swarms of insects and shit.
They're probably saving it for a more dramatic reveal for her specifically. Like, something very clear that she'll be confronted with and be like, oh my god.
Yahoo, you know? Yahoo, Yahoo, hi lost child, I've come to readopt you. And she's like, oh, my dad is Subaru, not you. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that moment for Meili because she's gonna get re-traumatized all over again. Oh.
Yeah, she likely will be. Although maybe she's grown enough to fight back against it immediately.
Well, I think she's grown enough to eventually fight back against it, but I would not blame her for being initially distraught at seeing this woman again. You know, like.
Well, you know, I think it's also the case. You know, the person. I mean, this could just be me. Maybe she's dead already, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of the children is Miriam, the person who got kidnapped alongside. You know, Dynas is like, you couldn't save Miriam or Meili, right? I wouldn't be surprised if both of them were the children of Capella. So maybe that's one of the characters that we'll meet.
And she has a more direct, almost sister, in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that would be kind of interesting. I guess we move on to the other half for the rest of this phase then, like the other group.
Yeah, so I mean we have Ratchins join up with Subaru and the rest of the sewer co as Bruges passes out from overusing her dragon eye, which thankfully that seems to be confirmed as the reason why that's happened. She's not like in some other
issue,
horrible
situation.
Yeah, she just is tired and falls on her face. She said she was going to. So
yeah.
And she's like,
okay, probably I'm about to pass out.
She falls asleep standing up too, and just Subaru's like, fuck.
But not only does Ratchins join, we get confirmation on that he is the son of an important nobleman. But one of their pursuers finally catches up to them, an enemy, a seeming enemy from the Prophecy of the Throne game, like a lot of the other characters are. Someone who has only been referred to so far as Black Dog. So let's stick with that name for now.
We'll stick
Otherwise,
with
things might get a little confusing.
Yeah.
Black Dog.
Hot dog.
But yeah, Black Dog has to do with the mask. And he speaks very annoyingly and theatrically.
He's an actual clown rather than Roswell, you know, like clown mask.
Yeah.
Well, more Venetian like fool sort of vibes, you know.
But obviously he wants to apprehend them in some way. But then you get a little thing where it's like, oh, somebody in the mirror is talking to him. And this one, it seems to be, what's her name? White Rabbit?
White Sheep.
White Sheep.
White Sheep. And White Sheep is rather more agreeable than him, who seems to be more, you know, in his own head, I would say. And then they're like, yeah, let's talk. Let's make sure that we get this all together. And then they're suddenly attacked in the sewers.
By the very enemy they were being warned about.
Yeah. And there's
a member.
Go ahead. And this is like even just setting the scene here of like how this was set up was really cool. Where initially you see this character come in, this Black Dog character, and you're like, oh shit, the threat has arrived and we're cooked. And if you have any context, like obviously I'm not going to explain the context of the game at all, in case anyone doesn't know and doesn't want to be spoiled. But if you know any context of the game, like this is kind of like a huge twist in that moment. Where you're like, oh god, this guy's going to be an enemy immediately, right? And he does this play like attack that ends up kind of fucking them over a little bit later, which I thought was really funny. But he does this play fire attack, and you're like, oh no, the enemy's here. And it's like, oh no, this guy's an ally? Question mark? and then the real enemy comes in. And this is an entirely new character, I think, right, guys? What's going on with this? Like, this is interesting.
Well, as we can tell, yeah, a member of these, what is it, the devoted children?
The beloved children.
Beloved children, that's right.
The beloved children.
Pursued them and is one of the people actively as the enemy that have taken control of the council and the royal selection. Thankfully, it's apparently pretty easy to get away from them with the assistance of Black Dog and Ratchins, as horribly disgusting as their escape route is.
Yeah. But Ratchet's kind of the goat in this moment, though. Let's be real, guys. Like, yeah,
he's just living in dirty places.
He's trying his best, man. It's really interesting too, because like it's just the scene of this is really interesting. We get this this character coming in with like this huge like kind of scary aura of like this divider, Clarissa, she's called, and like she breaks like small stones and it creates cracks in the like surface of the ground and the like places around her. Really interesting power system that's been introduced here with her.
Yeah, she's called an ability user, I think.
Yeah, ability user is what it's translated.
I was like,
here.
what does that mean?
Yeah,
it's very vague.
Yeah, but very curious to see where that goes. But like, we get this really tense moment. And then Ratchet like comes out of this like literal shit pile that he's stuck in the sewer water. And he opens up like a side tank that releases methane gas. And he's like, guys, do you trust me? Like, huh? What the fuck's going on? Subaru's like, And then they open up a hole, jump in, and Ratchet's like uses his magic above the surface of the water with his hand to blow up the entire tunnel. It was a gross moment, but also really cinematic in my head of like, whoa, this is awesome. Like, holy shit. Really quick thinking.
Yeah, quick thinking, which leads us to Felix's kidnapper, Russell Fellow.
This guy!
Who's aka Silver Fox, which, bullshit, that is Wilhelm.
Yeah.
Excuse you, thank you very much. Who's working alongside Black Dog and White Sheep that we find are former and like rescued, I almost want to say, from the beloved children.
Mm-hmm.
And have joined up with this new group to be introduced, the Six Tongues.
Oh yeah.
A secret service, intelligence, espionage. It's your spy agency, your black ops group that served the kingdom of Lagunica ever since the Demi-Human War, which Russell Fellow is a part of.
And also the director, he's FBI director, CIA director, you know? Like, it's like, whoa.
What a twist.
Yeah, the merchant thing's just a front, which I thought was very interesting. And what we know about him is that he has the divine protection of appraisal. The same divine protection that founded the kingdom of Kararagi, because Hoshin had it.
Yes, he did. And one that allows him to see that the cell phone gets increased in value when it's in the hands of someone that can actually use the damn thing.
Yeah, and also that's using that as a verification for his identity was a really smart move. I can believe that this guy is head spy honcho, you know?
Yeah, it seems like he's clever, at the very least.
And apparently also goes way back with Roswell, so that demerits his trustworthiness by at least 5 points.
But he, even he felt a little sus of Roswell at times, so...
It's
makes sense. Beatrice seems to give him a firm and like decent appraisal, so I'm gonna side with her on that. You know,
I trust Bearco.
Exactly.
I think Russell, like, coming back into the story not only is great because it's like, oh my god, this guy is back again, but it really feels like there's so much Arc 3 that's being re-brought back up here, like in Arc 10, and it feels so good. You know, the
larger story is being recontextualized through this, all the stuff in the kingdom that we didn't get to explore, that were underexplored, I would say, because of the way Super's focus was, is now being re-gratified. I think almost everything is being deepened, like our understanding of the world and the characters in the capital, and sort of the way that the selection's going and why is becoming more clear.
It's really cool. It's also funny that Subaru has his trope mode of like, oh my god, I'm finally meeting like proper ninjas, and it's not shinobi, it's like actual like spy, like James Bond shit. I'm like, yeah. And Russell's just like, god, this guy's a nerd.
I wonder if Tappei is playing the new James Bond game.
Perhaps he is.
He got a little excited to play that and threw it into the story ahead of time. But from these spies, we find that the initial theories that we had when we were reading through these phases were correct, that the council and likely a lot of the other important nobles and people within the government have actively been replaced and are under control via the what we know now and is revealed to Subaru is Capella.
Dun, dun, dun.
Finally confirmed her as mother within the story. We always knew, but
it's official.
Full evidence. Capella's back in, baby.
And Subaru is not happy. He's like, oh, Capella!
Of
Fuck!
all of them, this is the worst.
Yeah.
Like, God, I hate her.
But I like how this has been set up, though, in that, like, oh, yeah, like, a lot of the witch cult has been kind of cut down at this point. But one of the real big bad at the moment in the immediate future is Capella, the worst of them, outmost, you know? Like...
Yes, that he cannot allow Beatrice to see because it will damage her,
her morals.
her moral guidance.
Yeah, so cute.
It's very funny.
But yeah, it's really, it just feels good to have this out and out, you know, like just like
I mean, we've known this from day dot, but I mean, I'm glad it's finally confirmed.
I think it's fun to have Subaru like react to it, you know.
Yeah, I think that's also satisfying to say that now we get more context behind what she's doing and maybe a bit of why soon. And I'm glad that's exciting. Figuring out the why is something I'm going to be interested in because we don't really know too much about any of the Synarch bishops and why they're doing what they're doing. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, you might say that both Regulus and Juice are easy cases because you know they're very simple, but Capella seems the most complex by far.
Yeah, I'd happen to agree.
Well, if she can run this entire organization without it being directly tied to the witch cult like Betelgeuse's were.
Yeah, it's like its own private army almost.
Right, like she has this whole other group that she's organizing. And I wonder if it's like, I mean, you don't even have to wonder. They know, or we get told that they don't know that it was connected to the witch cult at all, that this was Capella.
Until Pristella, right? Which is a really
until
interesting...
the Pristella incident.
Which is a really interesting point, because it adds like this, like, oh, they were dealing with witch cult problems in the kingdom for so long, but this undercurrent of like, yeah, this has been our greatest enemy for the past 30 years of our organization. It's like, whoa, like the scale of that, you know?
Also, like, the fact of the matter is, we still don't know why Pristella happened. Well, like, we know what they wanted, but like, it was such a momentous occasion. All the Synarch bishops coming all at once to fight all of the royal candidates. But like, what did they get? Like, did they get what they wanted? Why is it that Regulus died? Was it a success? Was it a failure? Well, Capella revealed herself and announced her name, so it was all intentional, right? So like, why was that the time where she unveiled who she was? What's
really interesting here when you bring up that point, Gold, and I'm really glad you did, is it adds that almost gets recontextualized by this other thing we learn about, which is how these new characters, Black Dog and White Sheep, apparently escape under her thumb, which is the death of the Sin Archbishop of Sloth, and apparently that caused Capella like great distress and worry. And that's what allowed, and like distraction, and that's what allowed them to slip out. And it makes me think here that was it a similar feeling when they like lost in Pristella? Was that actually the outcome that they presented with in their gospels? Because it wasn't the outcome for Geese's gospel when he was doing his stuff in Arc 3, you know?
No, it was directly opposed to it. I mean, you have to assume that Regulus wasn't going by the book when
he didn't know. Yeah.
They had to add the marriage onto their list of demands, apparently. And I mean, they didn't accomplish any of the other things that they were there for: the witch's body, the Tome of Wisdom, or Beatrice. So you can't really think that they succeeded. I mean, Capella had to run away because she was deadlocked against Al.
And
basically.
Sirius was captured. You know.
Yeah, it got serious.
But it's really interesting because it has this vein of like, yeah, the witch cult aren't exactly aligned all the time, but Capella panicking about these Sin Archbishops like slowly dying out is really interesting because it adds this, I think, almost layer of, I don't know if Capella cares about them so much as she's like, oh, that's another like meat shield out of the way to defend me, you know, especially if she's been operating in the shadows like this for such a long time. And her only revealing herself then in Pristella, it adds this veneer to me of like she was using the rest of the witch cult as a shield almost.
Right, and the state of the witch cult is very interesting to me because, as far as I know, unless their entire plan is to take down Lagunica, which it could be, that could just be the witch cult's plan. But like that and the fact that nobody else besides Juice seemed to have been a true believer in Satella as like a religious figure is weird, right? Like nobody else that was Sin Archbishop seemed to particularly care about Satella. So like right now, what is the state of the organization of the witch cult? You know, like are they doing anything? Are they destroyed? Are they failed? Like what's their like motivation? What's their drive? What is their goal?
And
I don't know.
It's interesting too, because one thing we kind of like see throughout all of the stories so far is that Geese was the only one that really had a group that was a religious arm of the organization, you know, with actual cultists and stuff. Where a lot of the like all of these other characters didn't really have that going for them, and like the only example we can really compare with Capella, this was an extra organization she had that was just loyalty to her. It wasn't like a extension of the religion element of it, you know? Yeah, it just it adds a lot of intrigue, and also it really sets up Capella to be a really like cool big bad for this arc, in the sense of she's not only trying to destroy this kingdom from within, but as like this supposed Emerald Lagunica, who's probably like almost like in an Anastasia sense from like that Disney movie or whatever it was, coming back to like reclaim her throne or whatever. Kind of it kind of adds like an interesting element of like, oh, Lagunica is cooked. Like we need to reconnect this root from stem, you know. And Capella's been working to set that up for over 30 years.
That's a mom.
You gotta respect the grind.
The grind set.
Yeah, I mean, where do we go from here, though? Like, we're escaping the city. Like, that's the intention that we're going through. Even though Subaru is currently distracted by discovering that Felix is the blue snake.
No way. No way.
Not very well hidden.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard the blue snake, I knew who it was immediately, and I was just like, how long are they gonna... Okay, at least they did it like next chapter.
I'm not gonna lie, if they had delayed that, if Japan had delayed that any longer, I would have been so mad. Because it's just so obvious who that's supposed to be. I do like the Felix. It's just like, Subaru, come on! I can't give you possibly any more hints, you fucking idiot. Who do you think I am? Like, it's just like, man, crazy. But
what can you do?
One small moment I'd like to talk about before we, like, I guess, get into like us leaving here is this moment where, like, it's a really sad character moment where we learn Ratchins has been in dispute for his dad for a while, and he doesn't talk about why. But he then thinks about how his dad is one of those high-ranking people, and that he's almost certainly been replaced.
Yeah, it's a somber moment for him. It really kind of makes him feel like a normal guy for the first time.
It like really humanizes him, right?
Yeah, and not just, oh, he's the guy that dabbed Subaru a long time ago.
He's a little bit of a gremlin person, but I think I kind of endeared himself to me. You know, he's definitely a fail guy, you know. Like, like a fail son. Like, literally just like, I don't know what to say about him. I like the fact that he seems pretty normal. You know, he's a normal guy thrust into weird circumstances. He's a little moody too, but he's like a teen. You know, what can you do?
Yeah, but like, isn't his father like the guy who trained Julius? Like we see that in the anime flashback.
And
that's
Krush.
him and Krush that we learn, right? Like this guy like was the guy who trained all the preeminent swordsmen here.
He's the royal tutor.
Yeah.
That's what
That's a really interesting connection, but also like that's so sad for Ratchins. I'm like, oh, that's brutal. I hope his dad is alive, but I have a feeling that anyone that's been replaced is not alive.
I kind of don't. The guy's a bit of an asshole.
Well, was
like, he was one of the super racist ones, wasn't he?
Yeah, but how long has he been replaced for? Because my idea was their falling out related to his dad changing in character, and that change of character was him being replaced, is what I'm thinking.
I don't think the replacements happened before the last year. I think that's all been something super, super recent that's happened.
I guess.
We'll have to see.
Because if you go further back than that, then that's going to throw back into question the Miklatov that we've known through the story.
Yeah, exactly.
My thing is, I don't feel like it all happened at once and it was gradual.
Well, maybe, but we'll see if that gets nuanced out. Or
yeah, like how much information we'd even possibly learn about the order of events on that, you know? But we're about to leave, and Subaru's making pragmatic decisions. He's like, okay, I know in my heart that leaving them behind is gonna upset me, but I know that to save them I have to make this decision. And then we get this terrible accident as we're about to leave the city, and Blue Snake Felix comes running out to be the doctor and save the day, and Subaru's immediately like, I can't lie to myself. Sorry, Russell, fuck you, I'm gonna go be a hero, bye-bye!
Yeah. He's like, I know I said I wouldn't, but here I go saving again.
Yeah. And
it's absolutely a bait. This is 100% they're going to get screwed over.
Yeah. But I like that in this moment we get like this moment where not only does Felix get to be the hero, like first on the scene and be the one to move, but it inspires Subaru to go to his roots and say, no, I can't betray this part of myself, you know? That was a really satisfying moment. And I think a great way to end the phase.
Yeah, that's where we end the phase. And I really like this phase. I mean, obviously, as we were talking about it, we had a lot to discuss. But man, I just feel like it's firing all cylinders still. It hasn't really stopped. I mean, the first like 9 or so chapters was fairly simple. I mean, I don't think it had all the emotional beats as this did, but plot beats, I should say, that I felt very compelled. But ever since, it's been nonstop. I'm really excited to see where this is going.
Yeah.
Oh, agreed.
And I guess any idea of where we could be going next? I'm posturing that we're going to go to one of the other 5 great cities of the Boudica, potentially at some point. With the other part of the camp, not with Subaru, I should mention.
I have a suspicion that Otto and all of them are going to head either back to the mansion or head down to the Burial domain to tag up with the rest of them and add to their prowess. Whereas I think Subaru and... Well, we know that Subaru and the rest of the tongues are headed to the Karsten domain, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To meet with Krush's father.
Well, that was something Wilhelm was trying to do. I don't know if that's what they're doing. I couldn't remember.
I thought that was what their group was doing, not Wilhelm's group. But I might be mistaken.
Is what Wilhelm tried to do when Krush wasn't doing well, is try and get her father to help?
Yes, but I believe that is where Russell Fellow is saying to go to now, is the Karsten domain.
That would be cool. I initially thought it was a good chance they might have gone to Kostal, because it's one of the 5 great cities. It's the city where I believe a lot of Meteor is made, and it's under Roswell's like leadership. So I
could see a new city too. I could see going to the domain. I think like just a little bit more. Now we know that. Now we have a lot bigger understanding of the state of the kingdom. It would be cool to go to different places,
like explore a bit. Yeah.
That would
be
on the
fun.
Run a bit. Yeah.
Fleeing fugitives.
Also to smoke out where Capella and her cronies are. You know, it's maybe they're at the capital, sure, right? But like maybe there's some tailing them. You know what I mean? So we'll figure it out.
And at least like Elsa and Elsa's side of things, like it seems to be implied that it was coming from the Gostekan side of like the Gostekan like kind of border with the Boudica almost. True. So I wonder if it's like a cross border thing. It's gonna be like, whoa, what's going on with this?
Does this mean that Capella has been planning this from the start of the story?
Oh, almost certainly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conspiracy. Like an actual conspiracy.
Now that we know that Elsa was one of the children, it's funny to think that that's her organization this entire time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of already knew that, but I'm just saying that it's like the name is finally out there, what Elsa was a part of. It's why she was in the capital, you know?
It just adds that. It also adds like the shadow of Capella over the story in a similar way to like Echidna and Roswell, right? Where like you feel Capella's presence throughout the story, just like as a looming shadow, and not even just in Subaru's story of like all of these characters that are influenced by her and her herself, but also Lagunica itself being terrorized by her for 30 plus years while she connives to take over the kingdom from within. It's like, oh my god, a blight upon this nation.
But I'm excited to see where it goes. I have no clear understanding where we're going next, but that's exciting.
Yeah, like I don't know if I can really predict that's encouraging. I like that. I'm like, where do we go?
Where do we go indeed? We're gonna have to find some way to fight back against everything that's happening here, but who can really help? Do we reach back out to our Wallachian allies, maybe?
I was about to say, do we call in a favor, you know?
No, Lagunica has to solve their problems themselves.
I mean, that kind of mirrors the Krush conflict then. Of like,
Exactly.
do you accept the help that you don't want to accept?
They do kind of mention this minorly as well, but if they insult Emilia too much, who's like directly recognized by the Emperor of Wallachia, they just invite invasion from Wallachia too. So it's very much a balance of like not only is Lagunica getting really destabilized from within here, but if any issues go Highwire because of this, like it's going to lead to war. And like, does the kingdom survive this arc? Is a valid question, I think.
Yeah, it's up in the air because there's a disaster that follows the kingdom.
Do we get warring states period of Lagunica of all the candidates? Do you know what I mean? Like it all like political leaders.
That'd be really interesting. I'd like to see something like that, honestly.
Now that is some juicy conflict right there, is all I'm saying. I think we've extrapolated everything we can here. We've talked for quite a while here. This has been quite a long one, so it's probably a good point to call it here, I'd say.
Yeah, agreed. We don't have as much theorizing to do at the end of this phase as we did at the end of the first phase.
Yeah, we actually answered a lot of the upstanding mysteries throughout the meeting.
Yeah, questions were answered this time, which is whoa.
Right.
But yeah, thank you everyone for watching along with us. Let us know what you thought about these chapters down below, what you think might be happening next, what you thought about our thoughts, because we love to read the comments about it. It's really interesting. But I hope you have a lovely day or evening wherever you are where you're watching this, and bye-bye!
Bye.
Bye.